Juliana, I too have an open G. So G center, or identity center as it's also known, and quite honestly been criticized for it and my line 3. So, very much what you were talking about in your experience there. Roger, hello, 3-5 reflector. As a line 3, there is always a price to pay. Always. Yeah, great conversation. Yes. Roger, if you have some additional thoughts, we'd love you to put them in the chat as a 3-5 reflector. Great. Well, one of the things we haven't spoken about. Yes. Oh, you know what, Sandra, why don't you jump on in?
I have a different aspect of the G will center experience to share. So my G is defined and my will center is completely defined, and both are connected to the throat. And this is what makes me a manifestor. So there's a whole dynamic that happens when the throat is connected to the G, or the identity center, and or the will. There's, in response to what I do, how people respond to me reflects back on me. And this has been the biggest struggle and lesson associated with my personal chart. So when, take example, my mother would respond to my actions and my words that there was something wrong with them, I took it personally. And this led me to pile on all kinds of stuff onto how I felt about myself that contributed to, all of the issues that I experienced as challenges in my life. So recognizing that, yes, having the undefined G and the undefined will center leads people to question their lovability and their worth and the value, and to feel the need to prove their lovability and prove their worth and value and change themselves so that people love us. The same thing happens for me with the defined will and G because of this reflection back from the throat. And so experiencing lots of fears and limiting beliefs and limiting behaviors and patterns and behaviors associated with that. So, defined, undefined, they both have their versions of challenges and issues with it.
Yeah. And I will corroborate that. I have 2 channels from my identity center to the throat. And for those who may not be aware, in design, there is a certain level of sensitivity, extra sensitivity that comes from criticism, or let's air it as constructive feedback. If it's not, I would say, from my personal experience, if somebody hasn't prepared me that this feedback is coming, even just like a heads up, almost like an invitation guy, like, hey, I have some feedback to share. Are you open to hearing it? Or, hey, I just thought So I would take it very personally. And so it's easy to make ourselves wrong before we really understand the line 3 and the experimentation. It's easy to think that there's something wrong in that expression, in that experience of the line 3. And then to have somebody, like you said, come back, Sandra, and reflect it to you. It's like, and it's very easy to shut down. And Brigitte mentioned in one of the comments about fear, right? The fear and just stopping you from moving and taking action. And the line 3 is a reminder there that actually it's okay to take action. That's what we're designed to do. That's how progress is made, as you mentioned earlier, Sandra, right? That's how we move forward in the world, is that new things are discovered, new happy accidents, happen. Potato chips were a line 3 invention, right? Whoops, they were a mistake. And now we have potato chips. So if you ever have any fear about moving forward, just remember potato chips, right? And the beauty of potato chips. Let me see. Let me just pass through a few more comments here. Yes, Roger. Yes, the invitation. Absolutely. This I can absolutely say is true. So Roger is a 3-5 reflector. Perspective, just a moment here. Let me just read the comment. Perspective is that sometimes the price we pay is a positive one. It's a mindset. So Roger has a also put in some information here. Definitely worth, if you're watching this live, read his comment in the comments. If you're coming back to the replay, definitely check out the comments in the Quantum Human Design Facebook group. And Denise Rollins says, have G to the throat. Yes, similar to experiences. We're speaking from our most deepest self. Yes, so there's a lot of, I think all the lines have a propensity of being labeled as wrong somehow by people on the outside looking in. But I think the 3 has that in spades, can attract criticism. And I think the 5 too can attract criticism. And so, yeah, so one of the things we haven't tackled, oh, sorry, Juliana, was that you waving?
Can I jump in for 1 second?
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to comment, Sandra, on the defined G and the defined will, because I think that's so important for us to remember that, like, even if it's defined, or if it's open, or if our center's open, or our channels are our gates, there is still that tendency for, in the conditioned world, for that pain. And one of the things that I've been noticing lately is, for myself, with an open, especially with the open will, is that when I am around my friends that have a defined will, I notice this like increase in not good enoughness come up. And on reflecting on this, I'm so grateful that now I am aware of what's happening there, because in the past, I would have projected that onto them and like being like something's going on here. Whereas now I realize that that's my open center where there's something going on. And I think that is just so important. I've been processing that a lot myself personally, like how that is, how when we're around these different centers, there's that amplification that happens. But especially with my will, what I've been noticing. So I really appreciate you bringing that to the forefront, because that really helps me to, for us to really remember how this happens between people, right? And the pain that can happen in relationship, just by being who you are, can then highlight that for someone else. And it's like, when we can understand ourselves and what's happening in us, we don't then put that pain on other people, like what happened with your mom. So thank you for bringing that up.
I have a comment from the chat. Just a minute. I'm just trying to play catch up here. Do you think it's okay? So I do have a question that came from the Facebook group from Brigitte, which I will actually put in the chat. So, and I will have you address it as something comes up. I'm just wanting to confirm something from Brigitte. If you're watching, I did post a reply. I just wanted to confirm you're a splenic projector. I think you are. And there was a comment here from Mariah. I'm a 3/5 Splenic Manifestor too. Sandra, and I had the same issues with my mom and my family all my life. So, thank you for sharing those experiences, because you've got some people really tapping into that and identifying with it.